For years, people thought that I had a whole team around me. And like, I'd get on the phone with people and talk business. And I'm like, yeah, let me like talk to my team. And then I'm like going to look in the mirror. I'm like, what do you think, buddy? It was really me. Like, I started it out of my parents' garage. My boy sent me a few designs, and it was in that moment I was like, this is the clothing brand I was supposed to start. Definitely didn't make sense. Like, I told, family, friends, like, hey, I'm gonna launch this golf brand, but like, it's not gonna be a golf brand. I want it to be a golf inspired clothing label. So that's always kind of been a thing too, of like, you get comments like, you'd never make it on my course in that hoodie. So I built it up as a mood board, and I would just post like old pictures of like Tiger in like crazy baggy pants, or, Allen Iverson, or like Derek Jeter on the course. Very nostalgic, kind of mood board style curated photos. And it kind of gained a little bit of a following, but I was doing it totally just as like, man, I really have nothing to do. When you just think about the end result, like, what did I like when I first started baggy? The process. I didn't care about the end result. It was the process that I loved. And then, you start creating, and it's like, my whole focus is like the total profit mark. I have to hit this number. And if I don't hit this number, then everything was a fail. Therapist who told me this, they were like, in most cases where you're either frustrated or you're like, man, I don't know what to do, or like, man, I'm doing more than this guy, and he's doing this. It's like, be very curious as to what is the real reason as to why I'm really frustrated here. Is it just because I'm working hard, or is it because deep down I feel like I'm being overlooked? So I went there.
Wait, when did they get a football team?
I mean, it's probably been a while now. It would have been 2013, because I went there 2015.
What position did you play?
I played defensive back. Got
No way.
injured in the scrimmage right before the first game. So I was out the entire year. Did awful in school. Ended up leaving after that. But like, me and him met maybe once that year. And then a lot of other people that are kind of in our world, we do life with now, were at SEU at that time. But I was so much more like, I was playing football. I didn't even really know. When I went to SEU, I thought it was more like a TCU. Like, it was just Christian in the name.
Yeah, you didn't realize it was such like a ubiquitous Christian university.
No, I got there and I was like, oh, people are really here like training to be pastors. I'm like, I thought I was going to TCU. Just throw it on the billboard, bro. So I got there, but at that time, it was very much like I was just kind of rocking with the football guys. But super thankful for my time, because I was able to the Durons were there at that point.
Dude,
so like Dakota.
Dude, I love Dez.
David D.
I've hung out with Dakota and David D like once or twice at a booth thing, but Dez and I actually know each other real well. Like, my brother just went to go see Dez on Broadway.
He's crushing it.
Did
you see him on Fallon?
Yes, bro. I literally got goosebumps. With Dan, he told me. I didn't realize he was on Fallon. I knew he was on Broadway, but Dan pulled it up, and I was like, are you kidding me?
No, Dakota sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, I mean, Fallon, like, you've kind of like made it at that point, especially in the Broadway world. But it's really cool to see too, because he's been in the music world, like in that space for a while now. And it's such like, I feel like it's such a world where it's like, you get that one big break, it can change your life.
Right.
And this, I don't know if it's a play or a musical, whatever it is, has like absolutely popped off.
Bro.
So it's like the hottest thing on Broadway right now. So I was really happy for him. Dez is a homie, but I would be like really close with Dakota and David D. So they were living in Lakeland. We had our little crew, and I was 9 months and then out of there.
So you never actually got to play?
No, literally.
That's tough.
I did, like the workouts leading up to the season. You get there in August, and then season starts, I guess, like, probably first week of September. And I snapped my wrist at like the inter squad scrimmage before the first week of the season. And it was like perfectly even. My timeline of recovery was like, we would have had to make the championship game for me to even come back and play.
Wow.
And at that point, like, I'm not there all season. Like, I'm not even going to get in. I've been out for 14 games. So it really was like, it wasn't what I expected. I really went there for football. Like I said, I didn't know it was SEU or, like the AG side of it or anything. So it kind of sucked.
You literally had no idea. That is so funny.
I knew like my dad was tapped in with them.
Yeah.
And Dakota was there. But that was really like, it was just my best opportunity for football,
Right.
like financially wise.
What
And then
division-
like once I got there, I'm like, wait, these guys are like really tapped into the church world. I'm like, why did I get a full ride? You know, like, I'm like, I thought I was out
Was
here.
this for
like-
Dylan or Dino?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, my dad is on the board. You know? Wait, he's also speaking at conference this year.
My whole life is a lie, Dad.
Right, and then like it was so. I don't know if we need to
Bro,
like
that
stop
is so
and like
funny.
start.
No, we like to just jump right in. If you're
Okay,
cool with
perfect.
Yeah,
It
we're
was
going.
so. They had just started their football program, so there was so much energy around
Yeah.
like, yo, we're building this football program. Like they had some other sports, but like we're building it.
I mean,
We're-
football is the moneymaker in college.
Right.
It makes the most money.
Right,
It's not
and
close,
like
so.
SCU was kind of even like, I feel like now it's a little bit more well known, and like obviously like it has the worship space that like they became pretty huge in. Isaac's sister is actually a huge part of that. But at that point, SCU had just started football, but like we went down there. I went down
Did
there
his
for a
mic get
visit.
unplugged? We good? I heard a noise. We're just gonna check.
Yo, check. We're good.
My bad. I interrupted you. Please keep going.
You're good. I love it. I interrupt my wife every day. That's why she's like, you go yap out there. Come back. Get ready to listen. But it was big time. Like you go out there and they're like, you see that plot of land out there? We're building a A-grade field house. Like you heard of Alabama University? We're replicating it after that. And like I'm there like first year and I'm like, where's the field house? Our locker room's in like a T building behind like the women's basketball gym. Like literally like those T buildings that like you go to class in like elementary school. And like I'm thinking like, man, we're about to get fitted out. I'm about to get like 4 pairs of gloves. Like I'm about to get like all the team swag. And it was like we got like 2 workout shirts, a pair of shorts, and it was like every time you lost one, it was like, you know, you had to run like gassers to get a new one. I was like, so it was totally not what I expected it to be. But at the same time, we had a really good crew of like some of the Shreveport guys, Dakota, David D. Dez was
So
down
you
there
grew
in
up
and
in
out.
Louisiana, right?
I grew up in Baton Rouge. Yeah.
Okay. I've
So
been
I
to
was-
Baton Rouge a couple of times.
Really?
I
For
used
what?
to go for Bethany.
Yeah.
They had the big youth event thing there.
Okay.
And I was kind of running around with, if you know, like James and Jason Stockstill.
Yeah.
We would we would go hang with them. Or I would go with a couple other friends when I was in like maybe 16.
Right.
was a good
Yeah,
time.
so our churches had a big rivalry. No, I'm kidding. No, we've known we've known the
whose was bigger?
Stockstills.
Who had more services? You know, just so
Yeah,
dumb.
no, let's check the giving.
Oh my
links.
God.
No, I've known the Stockstills forever. You know, Pastor Chris, who started Highlands, was
Larry was
actually
like
at
his-
Bethany.
yeah.
Larry was like, his pastor and like one of the biggest influences in his life. So, all these guys, my dad went to Bible college in Baton Rouge. Chris Hodges was there, young guy working at Bethany. My dad was at the time working at the Bible college he went to. Kind of a few other of like the ARC lead team guys were there at that time. And then my dad went and started his church when he was like 26. My mom was like 23, which like, I'm
So
like,
young,
dude,
dude.
I was living in your crib at 26. Like watching the new Vin Diesel in the Rock movie, you know, like, so, he started that. And then, I grew up in Baton Rouge my whole life till I was 16. And then we transitioned
So-
to Birmingham.
How did you start to get involved in business? Because when we first met, was it 2 years ago at ARC or this last year?
Dude, I think it was this last year at our
That's kinda
conference
crazy.
in Birmingham.
Feels like it's been longer than that.
I know it does.
But are you gonna go to Dallas this year?
I think so. You know, the baby is
Oh,
due April 10th, which is like, okay, could be a little bit before that, could
Yeah.
be that day, you know, around there, give or take. I'll probably go down because like we're doing a lot on the apparel side, and then just be good to be down there with the family and
Yeah.
kind of connect with everybody, but also just going to see how this pregnancy and, you know, the
Totally.
birth and everything goes. So that's definitely priority.
As it should be. But I wanted to talk about, because it's crazy. I can't even believe it. We haven't even known each other for a year yet, but I feel like we're already boys.
No, it's
But
crazy. We
the-
made it out the group chat,
I
bro.
know, bro. Let's go.
We're here.
We out here. Aiden and I were talking about it, and I was talking to another buddy. I'm really impressed by how many different things you can work on. and I'm not sure like the levels that you're doing everything, but you started Vision, which how would you describe Vision?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're a creative company, like all encompassing. You know, for a lot of stuff, like where you come in and you're like, hey, we do branding. We can do really good social media. I might outsource some of that.
Yeah.
We could do a lot of it in-house. But I would say it's a creative company, like A to Z, but really specializing in spending a lot of time right now on the printing, production, embroidery of the apparel side.
Because the actual warehouse you guys got looks so sick.
Yeah,
and you
so
guys
the
are
warehouse,
able to, like, you have all the equipment. You went in.
We did. So I came up with the idea after I had started Baggy, you know, my clothing brand.
Let's go back to Baggy too, because I want to talk about Baggy, and you're also doing Tour Caddy, and you're also now with Circle Author. I'm like, dude, how many freaking things can one man do?
My wife loves it. No, I mean,
I hear the sarcasm.
Right? Yeah. She's like, I came home the other day and I was like, babe, I got this idea. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to work. And she's like, dude, you're about to have a really another big job that's about to come in like 4 weeks. But I mean, I lived in New York and moved back home right before COVID.
Where'd you move home to? Louisiana or Alabama?
To Birmingham.
Okay.
So we were in Birmingham and lived with my parents for like 2 years. I was working at Highlands, leading our college ministry there in Birmingham. So there was a ministry called One where it was like Alabama University, Auburn University, and then there's a few like kind of mid to bigger schools, UAB, Samford. Obviously there's Highlands College in Birmingham. So I ran that location and then started Baggy late 2019. And then
how did that idea come to you?
I had always kind of, I wouldn't even say was into fashion, but I was like, okay, like I definitely have my own unique style. And then when I moved back home, I was living in New York, and I kind of conceptualized a brand that I might want to start one day. I had one other buddy that had a brand, and he was like the first guy that I was like, oh, like companies and people other than like Nike and like Gucci and like Under Armour, like you can actually create clothes. Like I didn't even know that was like possible. So this was just a random kid in New York who had his own clothing brand. So I was like, oh man, like I'm mad interested in this. This is dope. We started hanging out. Like I would buy a lot of his stuff. And then I kind of had the idea. I was like, man, like he's doing this. Like I feel like I could do something like this. But at the same time, like had no real direction, knew nothing about the back end business side. Really like I was going to name it like Parkview, which is where I went to like elementary school, which like now thinking back could have had like some really cool deep branding. But at that time I was just like, sounds cool.
Parkview sounds like a cool name.
Yeah, like probably someone's had a brand now that's called Parkview. Shout out. But me and him had worked on something, and I still have like the OG brand deck from like 2018. And I got it and just sat on it and never started it. And then moved back to Birmingham. Obviously was like around fashion, you know, lived downtown Tribeca. So that's kind of like Mecca down there, downtown New York City. And I was living with my parents. The pandemic had just hit and they lived on a golf course. So I was playing golf like every day. Mm-hmm. And I had kind of started become really interested in the whole like nostalgic era of golf the more I got into it, which was like that late 90s, 2000s, like Tigers wearing like capris, you know what I'm saying? Like just these massive pants and these massive polos and kind of this like not in the moment, but in retrospect, like just rad fashion on tour.
Late 90s Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, late 90s Tiger.
Before he got all tightened up.
Yeah, like 2000s Tiger was just, different mode. So I kind of become like interested in that. And I had another buddy who had started a brand. And I was like, okay, like I know one other guy now who has a brand. He's doing really well. But I was actually on the golf course and I just thought about it one day. It was like kind of a rainy day and I was wearing these like really baggy, like PGA Superstore house label, khaki pants. And they were like huge. And I was like, I'm going to create a mood board and I'm just going to name it Baggy Pants Golf. Like,
Sick.
just very like face value. So Baggy started it as a mood board. So I built it up as a mood board, and I would just post like old pictures of like, you know, Tiger in like crazy baggy pants, or like, you know, Allen Iverson, or like Derek Jeter on the course. Just like very nostalgic, kind of mood board style curated photos. And it kind of gained a little bit of a following, but I was doing it totally just as like, man, I really have nothing to do. Right. I'm out here playing golf. Like, I'm working for the church, but we're also trying to figure out like, we can't meet and do services right now. I wasn't really working that creative muscle that much. And then I had the idea, I was like, man, I want to maybe do some hats for this brand. Because I had discovered Malbon, who I was like, oh, okay, like there are other brands than your FootJoy, your Titleist, your TaylorMade. Yeah. Like, I would say Malbon definitely trailblazed to like open up whatever you want to call this space.
Hat for a minute.
Yeah.
Malbon
like,
buckets.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love Malbon. And I even remember when Malbon started, they actually started as more of like a mood board style page too. So Malbon kind of trailblazed, and I was like, oh, okay, there's definitely this space. And there was like one or two other brands that were kind of doing like a different take on golf wear or golf inspired things. And I sent to my boy, I was like, yo, I want to do some hats like for this. You know, he didn't know I had the page by this point, and I'd followed some of my homies. And I was like, hey, I want to do some hats for Baggy. Well, he sends me a few hats and then like added in like a hoodie and a long sleeve. And it was just like in that moment.
Dude, that mic is just running away from you. I think it's coming off here. Matt's going to be here to fix it for us.
No, we're good.
Gracias, Matt.
Imagine. I was kind of like slowly just trying to like, may the force be with you. And I saw you look at me, and I did it like 3 times, and I was like, it's over. Oh my God. Let it run its course.
Matt, whether or not you cut this, if this is still live on audio, Dylan is trying to push his mic away from him, and it just keeps rolling over to his shoulder over and over.
I'm like, moved. No, I want to come back.
Oh my God. I want to mention too, though, so maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but you guys just did a drop at the Waste Management Open in Phoenix, right? Like, were you a sponsor? How did that work?
No. I was out there. Yeah, that seems like it's pretty stable. I was out there just more. I had actually never been to a golf tournament, a professional golf tournament in my life. And I had a good bit of guys that were kind of in this golf community that were out there. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go out. Like, I have a buddy who's on tour who was able to get me tickets. So I was like, I'll go out to the tournament a few days. There's some events going on at night. And then it was kind of a last second idea where I was like, man, I'm just going to do like a waste management inspired collection.
Right.
So yeah, we dropped that, like the Thursday, the tournament started, and, you know, had it go for a week or two.
That's sick, bro. Everything you guys put on Baggy is so sick, bro. I get it. Something I will often say, for me at least, when I see a design that I think is beautiful, I can't really take my eyes off of it. Like, I just get obsessed with the little details. And especially now living in the Phoenix area, I don't know, there's just something about what you guys built that really caught my eye, I think.
No, I appreciate it. And Phoenix is even like, it's kind of like, I would say LA would be kind of this, like, if you're talking like smaller cult like brand golf world, LA would really be like the capital. Like, there's some guys in New York as well, and obviously guys spread out wherever, but a lot of crew is in that Phoenix Scottsdale area.
Yeah, there's a ton of golf.
Yeah, so it's like crazy. We you know, like they did like a good event one night, and there's so much golf there because you know, everybody comes in different seasons and plays, but yeah, we were just able to kind of, I brought another buddy who works with me, so we just kind of vibe, like, you know, hung out in the city, stayed in like a sick Airbnb, like Old Town area. I don't know how far that would be from you. Yeah, we were more in the Scottsdale area. Played golf one day and then just went to the tournament and kicked it. So it was a really chill, definitely wasn't like an official collab or sponsorship or anything. But I don't love like event themed collections all the time. But
I think this was like event specifically is so special, and with you being there.
Right. It was like a 2 to 4 piece, and the waste management would be like beyond the Masters and the majors would be one of the more well-known,
For sure.
talked about, because it's kind of got that stadium kind
party,
of rowdy aspect
Crazy.
to it. So yeah, we did that, and it was sick. So I enjoyed being out there.
So obviously you're running Baggy, and how many people do you have working with you? Is it mainly just you, or how does it work?
Yeah, man. I mean, really, like, started it me and my iPhone Mini, bro. Just like 2019. Like
Me and my iPhone Mini.
Me and my iPhone Mini. I have a picture. I posted it one day on my story. It was like the iPhone Mini that I had built Baggy on for like the first 2 years. Because I think a lot of times, and I mean, you've probably seen this in businesses that you've ran, and friends that have businesses and brands and companies or bands. Like a lot of times. And it's a good thing, but like as a business, you want to portray yourself a lot bigger than you are sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So like I think for years, people thought that I had a whole team around me, and like I'd get on the phone with people and talk business, and I'm like, yeah, let me like talk to my team, and then I'm like going to look in the mirror. I'm like, what do you think, buddy?
It's like I'm gonna text my wife.
Yeah, I'll go talk to my dad. But it was really me. Like I started it out of my parents' garage. My boy sent me a few designs, and it was in that moment I was like, this is the clothing brand I was supposed to start.
Right.
So it all kind of made sense from New York because I had that idea, and I didn't even feel like once I moved to Birmingham, it was like this thing I was mourning. Like, man, I had this brand I wanted to start it and it didn't work. I kind of forgot about it.
Right.
But then it was like in that moment, it was just like he sent me these designs and it all kind of brought it together and made sense. And I was like, oh, this is the brand I'm supposed to start. And like definitely didn't make sense. Like I told, family, friends, like, hey, I'm going to launch this golf brand, but like, it's not going to be a golf brand. I want it to be a golf inspired clothing label.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of been a thing too of like, you get comments like, you'd never make it on my course in that hoodie. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
well, number one,
bro.
like
the one thing that's the most annoying about golf more than anything else is this snooty club culture. Like, you can't do this, you can't wear this, you can't act like this. It's so obnoxious. And I feel like most people in our generation who I would not consider myself a great golfer, but people who just golf, we don't even like that. Like, yeah. I hope that over the next couple of generations of people playing golf that we do away with it because it's obnoxious.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, and I think there's like a tasteful balance, right? Like, it is kind of like a gentleman's game. Like, there's a respect there. Like, I can go to the club I'm a member at. It's like, tuck your shirt in, like, wear your belt. So I wouldn't say Baggy is like in rebellion against that culture and like that era. But I was kind of like you said, I always like to kind of put things where they didn't belong. So I was like, I'm going to create this like brand of clothes that like I would wear and I would be into, which is hoodies. Some of it's on course gear. Some of it's not. It's like a sweatsuit. I just did a mule. Like, I'm about to do an action figure. Like, I would say...
No, wait, hold up. You can't just say that, move on. You guys are making an actual action figure.
Yeah, I have a toy in production right now.
Can you show me a picture?
I can show you like a... where's my phone?
Bro, that's
I can show you like they have a little 3D...
How did you come up with doing an action figure, bro?
I made a logo, or my boy made a logo probably 3 years ago, and it was like this dog that was in baggy pants, like a golf vest, and like a baggy visor. And I kind of themed a character around it, like Mr. Bags. And I would post it on social media sometimes. Never did anything in terms of clothing, like logo with it. But I randomly, like, now that I'm having a son, I'm like, what would be cool for like this little dude to like have around? And there's certain things where it's like, I don't want Baggy to just be, we only make clothes.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do a fragrance. Like, I want to do, I want to do a chair. Like, I want to make it kind of an umbrella where it's just like we create a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And I've always been into kind of like, I used to like the calls, like action figures and certain things. So I was like, man, so I found a manufacturer and, so this is like...
When are you going to have the first one? No way,
So that's the prototype. They've got to like put the
oh my God.
The branding and the text. And,
can I put this on the screen?
They'll color it. Yeah, show it. I don't care. Leak season. I'm a big
Hold up.
Big leak guy.
Matt, can you see this? Bro, that is so dope.
Mr. Bags.
Mr. Bags.
So like
Oh my God.
doing stuff like that. But yeah, so that's gonna be in production. I'm trying to get that by like, maybe June, probably before.
Will you keep it silver like this, or will you add
No,
color?
so that's just like the
silhouette,
the sample mold of it.
so
They'll be working
do
on.
it kind of like that,
Yeah.
No
Text Andy real
way.
quick. Tell her to give us an update.
bro. That's so sick.
It's just nice. It's not Chinese New Year anymore. we're back on schedule. But yeah, so it was one of those things like I never grew up thinking I would start like this clothing brand, or hey, I'm gonna spend my early 20s studying so I have built the knowledge and the the know-how around to be able to manage the small business part of
Yeah.
it. Like I launched the first collection, and I was legitimately, I promise you, I was hoping for 7 orders.
Like that was the dream. You're like,
That
if
was
I
the
get
dream.
7 orders,
And
I
I
arrived. You,
kind
tell
of
your mom and dad that?
sent it like
The
it
best.
was probably like including hats, like a 12-piece collection. Had like Dickie style jacket, like a crew neck, a hoodie. It's like very like kind of basic stuff. Did like a visor, some hats, and I was legitimately hoping for like 7 orders, because I was like, man, at the very least, like me and some of my homies have some clothes that I created, like very cool. And then I launched it, and I can remember like seeing, like on Shopify, it's actually crazy. You can see how many people are like live on your site, and it shows you like a map of like where they all are. And I'm seeing like all these lines, and it was this moment where I was like, oh, now like I have to do this. Because not in a way of like I'm being forced to, but it was more of like a case study. Like, hey, if I launch this and like not many people buy that much, like it's great. I can keep running the Moodboard and like have it be this fun thing I do on the side. And then it really became like, oh wow, like a lot of people purchase these things.
Yeah.
I got to fulfill this and get all this to them. And now people are going to be expecting more. So it was really like came out of just I just went for it and tried. And then I was like, oh, wow, like I need to learn how to manage this like small business and like the expenses side. And I got to learn about, how all this stuff's printed and, the back end of the sales and the Shopify and all those things. So I really launched it on a whim and had no at all like this is ever going to make me any money. It was purely a passion project. And like, even like my parents totally believed in me, but like, I think everyone around me was like, bro,
like,
what are you doing?
Man, like, good for you.
Yeah. Like you're going to do great.
Yeah.
Like me and your Nana will purchase some. And like that first drop, like, yeah, you have a lot of your homies and, anytime you launch something, a lot of your close friends want to support it. Like, the beginning or the early days of it. But it's been cool to see now where it's like not, like nobody's still there for me. But a lot of times, like, I don't know really like anyone who's buying a lot of this stuff. So it totally started as something that was just like a passion play that I was like, I'm going to send this and just see what happens. Be cool to create some clothes. I've always kind of been into fashion and like, thought I had okay taste. And then I sent it and it did really, really well, like blew me away, and have kind of just been trying to figure it out since.
Bro, it's crazy what happens when you're able to just take the risk, because I think it's really tempting to just talk about ideas, and you sound like someone who could never lose ideas. Like you could just have ideas forever. And I think I'm very similar. Like I haven't started as many businesses as you have, but I've started enough to where my wife was like, hey, maybe just focus on these ones first.
Right. Yeah, we don't need another.
Yeah, but the ability to just come up with an idea and go execute on it and then see people start to use it or buy it or whatever is pretty thrilling. It's pretty exciting knowing like, dude, this actually, and it's humbling because I think for guys like us that follow Jesus, ultimately we understand there's this like beautiful spiritual dynamic too. Like I've been given a unique skill set. And if I leverage that skill set and God blesses it, for lack of a better term, like God's on it, somehow it works. People will use it. People will buy it. But the other side of that is like it requires so much hard work.
It does.
And so much belief.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you started this in your parents' garage. I started my company in my guest bedroom in a house I probably couldn't afford in LA.
Right.
It's like, okay, I think I'm supposed to do this. I had 25 grand. I'm like, all right, okay, so I have $25,000. I can survive on my budget based on like this many months before I need income.
You're making a
and
plan.
if I don't get income, then we're going to find out what happens.
Right.
And then you just start doing it and it works. But I'm curious for you. It's definitely been true for me. I feel like starting a business, running a business, and trying to continue to make it better and improve it has only made me a better person. Because I feel like most of the time what I get to is like when I run into a problem, a lot of times we can conquer and we get through it. But most of the time it reveals like, oh God, I need you.
Totally.
I need help.
Yeah.
I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
Do you find that true for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think like ministry, creation, it's a very, like you're saying, for me, it's a very introspective like process.
Yeah.
Something I'm trying to get better at. It was a therapist who told me this. They were like, in most cases where you're either frustrated or you're like, man, I don't know what to do, or like, man, I'm doing more than this guy and, he's doing this. It's like, be very curious as to, like, what is the real reason as to why I'm really frustrated here? Like, is it just because I'm working hard, or is it because deep down I feel like I'm being overlooked? Like, kind of this curious aspect. So I feel like it's such an introspective process because you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Like you also, like you said, you can easily tend to start creating for the audience, which I think there's a level of like, okay, know the people that you're catering to. Like, I want to make clothing for people. I know the baggy audience, right? So I'm going to contextually, I'm not going to make stuff that they wouldn't buy. But I think it's like Rick Rubin said, it's like every creation is an offering to God. So I think for me, it's always come back to like, okay, let me make sure like I'm creating for the sake of creating. And usually when I do that, is when those collections will go better and those tees will go better. But when I really start thinking, I'm like, what's going to be the clickbait piece? Like which piece is going to like which piece is going to the NBA dude going to wear? It's like, oh, that one doesn't even, go off. But the humbling part, I think, is probably the coolest because me and Isaac were talking about it a little bit. It's like, it's like I've had athletes and rappers and golfers, whatever, like wear baggy, which like for the first time is like epic. It's like, oh, all this totally. Hard work I put into
and it should
like,
feel great.
Has paid off. And it should feel great. But a lot of that also is like a little bit misunderstood because like a lot of times like these guys will ask you to send out a package. Their stylist will hit you and like you work all night, you send one out, and then like what's the chances of them getting photographed in it? Like all these things are really cool, but like I think one of the coolest parts for me is like seeing someone that's just a regular dude that I like run into at Publix that has on a baggy tee. Or I was in the Atlanta airport on the tram going from concourse to concourse. And I was wearing like some random like unreleased, I think it was like a misprint hoodie I meant to sell and I could never. So it was like a XX. I wore it while I was traveling. And the guy next to me was like, dude, that's like one of my favorite brands. And I was like, am I getting punked? Like, where's the camera at? And I was like, that's me. Like, I do that. I was like, how do you know about baggy? And it was like, we had this cool moment. And
what did he say?
Well, he was like, man, I live like near Birmingham and I've followed the brand for years. Like, these are the few pieces I have. This is my favorite one. Like, so I was even able to like, I had a whole bunch of product like in my duffel bag. I gave him something. And it was like, you walk away from those moments and you're like, oh, those are the dope moments of like being able to create something or being able to do something or start something that resonates with people. I was like, that's really the cool parts for me. And then also, it's like a lot of times it's like when almost you need that. It's like maybe I was even feeling discouraged about like, man, this last collection didn't go well as the other one. And then you see some random dude in an airport. It's like, dude, I love that brand. And you're like, I love you. Like, thank you.
Do you want a hug?
Right, for real.
Do you want to go out to dinner and tell me more about how you like the brand?
Come with me to New York. I'll get you a hotel.
Bro, Aiden and I were just talking about this, and I feel like it keeps happening. Matt is my witness. On radio, I keep on having these experiences with people. I'm like, bro, it's like, I'm not the most spiritual person, but I'm in desperate need of Jesus every day. Like, I've been a business person long enough to know I'm just not freaking good enough for it. I've been a dad long enough. I've been a husband long enough to know, like, I can't just rely on myself. And over, like, you're saying the same thing that I feel like I'm learning from scripture, I'm learning from, like, listening to church, whatever. If I get tempted to focus on the end result, it always robs me. It robs me of, even if I achieve it, if my whole focus is just on, oh, this is going to get this many clients.
Right.
Or this campaign is going to do this. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't plan and have goals. And the same thing, even more so, if I plan for that and it fails. Instead of just enjoying the process of doing what I'm uniquely graced and gifted to do.
Right.
And it's so freaking tempting for me, bro. I feel like I learn the same lesson like every 3 months. I'm like, oh, I'm so fucking, hey, we're going to do this campaign. We're going to do this webinar. We're going to have these different podcasts. We're going to have this going. We're going to have that going. And it's beautiful. And we should plan and we should strategize. You can't have a business without a plan.
Right.
But, bro, thank you for sharing this because it's such a good reminder to me. I don't want to focus so much on what this might achieve.
Right.
That I can't enjoy the idea of just making it.
Right.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
The joy is the process. I've been saying this lately, and it's so true. Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana says it best, bro.
Let's go.
It's not about how fast I get there. It's the climb.
I'm telling you.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
The longer, dude, when I started my business, I'm like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to go here. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever is 5 years. Tomorrow is five years on
Congrats.
the dot. Thanks, bro.
Well done.
We survived. Most businesses don't even last.
No.
But what's wild is we've achieved a lot, and we've also failed to achieve a lot. And thankfully, through the Spirit of Jesus, almost more than anything I've learned, it's never been about those things.
Totally.
It's just been, I'm doing this with Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm using the unique skills that I have to go try to make the world more beautiful.
Yeah.
And
no, I think you said it. I mean, I love what you said because
there's
I
just
think
no other way.
Yeah, like
to make business work for me.
Right.
I don't know another way.
And like speaking about the process, it's like when you just think about the end result, like what did I like when I first started Baggy? The process.
You like curating mood boards.
I didn't care about the end result. It was the process that I loved. And then, you start creating and it's like, no, now I'm my whole focus is like the total profit mark. I have to hit this number. And if I don't hit this number, then everything was a fail. And I feel like even that in ministry.
Bro, I lived like that all of last year.
Yeah.
If I can't hit these financial marks, if I can't like move these levers, then this is all not worth it. And it was miserable.
Right.
It makes you not even want to do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had multiple like very discouraging seasons through the 4 or 5 years and Baggy's just one of them. Like it really, I feel like
just one anything of your 15 businesses.
Well, anything in business, what I've learned is like, I'm that guy too. Like, oh my gosh, I have a great idea. Like, babe, we're going to do this. It's going to work like this. We're going to scale it like this. We're going to get these people involved. And then you start something and you're like, oh, this takes a lot more time than I thought.
Yep.
This takes a lot more money than I thought. And it's actually way harder than I thought. And I think there was so many times like either in Baggy or even when I was pastoring this ministry in Birmingham, it was so much like, it's like in life in retrospect, you look back on like certain storms or seasons where it's like, God, like, get me out of this. Like, God, like, get me to the result I want to get to.
Just take me there.
And then in retrospect, I always look back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so thankful that he kept me in that storm or in that season for a little bit more because I needed to learn the things today that I need to do everything I'm doing in that season. So it was like so many times I wanted out of a season when God was like, no, I need you to stay in that season so you can learn, so you can grow, so you can gain this knowledge, so you can go do all you want to do in the future. Like I always wanted deliverance, like, God, like, man, we dropped 100 people this week. the college kids are on spring break. They're in Panama City. Like all we got are the kids in cosmetic school this week, the trade school kids. And, it's like, God, like, why did you send me these people? And it's like, I would want deliverance from this whole thing. God's like, no, I'm going to like give you the strength to just like power through. And I'm so thankful now that I had all those years in ministry where, there would be, me, I'm 23 years old, leading like 21, 22-year-old smart kid. I'm 29. Dude, getting up there. When I moved back to Birmingham, I was, I think, 24, just maybe turning 24. So I took over the college ministry there when I was like 2 years older than a lot of these students. And it wasn't like I had this career years of preaching in New York. Like I was more kind of lower on the totem pole. I'm kind of just available doing whatever. But it was very much like, I was talking to my buddy the other day. We were talking about that whole like imposter syndrome thing because I never really understood that. And I was also like,
what do you mean you didn't understand it?
Well, I was just like, I thought people looked too into it. I'm like, well, if you don't feel like you're supposed to be in the room, like you're probably not supposed to be in the room. You know what I mean?
That is a good point, though.
Which there's maybe merit to.
Within reason, yeah.
But then I kind of like really had someone explain it to me. And I was even in a conversation the other day and they were like, yeah, like, my buddy was telling me how he's been in these situations where, he's having this kind of imposter syndrome. And I feel like for a lot of the years that I was leading the ministry, for a lot of it, I was probably just trying to prove that I could do what my dad did.
Yeah.
So like I chose the career that my dad had done pretty well in. So there was a constant inner battle of like, okay, am I doing this for like the kid who's strung out and like giving this one service one more time? Or like, am I going back and forth and it's like, I'm trying to prove to people like, I can be funny like my dad. I can get up and speak like my dad. Like I can do these certain things, which I think talking about imposter syndrome now in the business world, I'm finding myself all the time in rooms or conversations where I'm like, this dude's like the guy on Instagram. He's like, this is like Hermosi. He reads 4 books. Yeah. It's like 8 ice baths in the morning, lives in like Calabasas. And like, God. He's asking me like, what do you think?
8
and I'm
ice
like,
baths?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like I made a Coke float last night. You know what I mean? Like my wife's pissed at me because I didn't pick up my socks.
Oh my God.
But I think also, like, I think it's a good grounding thing to have that. Yeah. I won't necessarily even call it imposter syndrome, but just like, oh, okay, like if it was just me, like, no, I don't deserve to be in these rooms. I think about it all the time. I'm like, people that see me from like high school, like, I would hope they would be like, what on earth are you doing and how are you doing that? Mm-hmm. Just to show that like it was only God. Like this wasn't the route that people would have thought this guy's going to be leading businesses. And I'm still growing in a lot of ways, but he's going to be leading businesses and leading these teams where it's definitely a grounding thing to be like, oh, okay, I've definitely put in the work here.
Yeah.
But like if I kind of zone out and 30,000 feet up, look at my life, I'm like, only God could have done this. Like I'm married to the girl of my dreams. I'm able to have a son. I'm fortunate enough to be a part of these businesses and have started some things that resonate with people. And it's definitely like you talk about, starting a business, putting yourself out there in anything. It's the most vulnerable thing you could ever do. And through the different ebbs and flows, I feel like it's the greatest humbler of all time.
Bro, oh my gosh. I say all the time, I feel like my business has made me a better person because I think it kind of weeds out the impurities in you, man. There's been so many moments where, to your earlier point, I'm like, God, can you take me out of this situation? Or can you get us to this level of clientele? Or can we produce this type of work? Or can we have this type of revenue? And whenever I get alone and honest with myself, I really just realized that what this business has required of me has kind of ruined me for trying by myself. And I just end up saying the same thing every time, bro, but I'm kind of a mess without Jesus. He's like the only hope I got, because you know this well. If you start doing enough things and those things actually start to gain some traction, and I know I'm a few years ahead of you in family, but dude, now I got like 3 babies and I got another one on the way. I'll be married for 12 years this year. I'm about to turn 34.
Congrats.
I've moved. Thanks, awesome. Bro. I'm so excited. Moved 4 states, changed careers 3 or 4 times. Never thought I'd be an entrepreneur in a million years. Right. I always thought I'd be in ministry. I'm a PK too. Like that was just kind of what I thought I'd do. But man, if I'm really honest, most of what it's done is made me humble.
Yeah.
It's like, and not that we've achieved some great things, but we've achieved enough to where I'll get compliments.
Yeah.
Similar in a way. Like we'll be at something or whatever, and I remember I was at a coffee shop and one guy's like, "Oh yeah, he works at Divine Persuasion." And the other guy's like, "Oh no way, that brand's so cool. How'd you start working there?" I was like, "Oh, I was there for a while. I didn't really say anything." And then the other guy's like, "No, he started." And I was shocked that anyone would even know. Very, very seldom would this happen with the guy's like, "No way." And I was like,
right.
"What, bro?"
Me?
Yeah. He's like, "You mean like the barista? This is a sick shop."
Right. Right. Yeah.
But the interesting thing is I have only been forced into humility. Like I didn't earn it. Like I'm not like, bro, I'm Moses. I'm the most humble man on the planet. So OG that Moses wrote that about himself. But like literally, I have just fallen on my face enough times to where I used to struggle with imposter syndrome a lot in the early onset. Like I kind of didn't even like talking about it. Like if people asked me what I would do, I'd try to skirt the conversation.
Yeah, right.
But now I'm in this zone where I feel like I'm walking out and gifting. Like this is not, I've worked so hard, although I do want to work hard. This is not, we have all the right marketing metrics. We have all the right team members. It's all crushing. But no, I honestly feel like I'm uniquely gifted by God to do what I do. And as a result of that, I'm also uniquely aware of my need for him and uniquely aware of my inadequacies. And I think, bro, we kind of mentioned this before we talked on the phone, but running a business has just shown me how faulty I am.
Yeah.
And how much I'm in need of help all the time. And I'm so grateful because I feel like I've become a more patient man.
Oh, yeah.
I become more caring. I become less judgmental. All these things I didn't even really know I had. And I feel like it just continues to unearth things in me that I'm so grateful for. And the exact things that guys like you and me pray, like, God, get me out of this one. God, bring me to this one. I end up now looking back, I'm like, dude, that was just Romans 8:28.
Right.
Dude, that was just Genesis 50:20.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for whatever I wanted anyways.
Exactly.
Right.
I wouldn't have had the capacity to handle it if he didn't let me learn through all of this.
Exactly.
Dude, I was talking about this the other day in John chapter 11 when Jesus finally shows up to heal Lazarus. You know the story, right? He's already dead. And he goes to see Martha on the outskirts of the village. Martha's like, dude, if you would have been here, Jesus, he wouldn't have had to die.
Right.
And
Too late.
Jesus looks at her in the eyes. He's like, no, I'm gonna resurrect him. She's like, yeah, I know. Someday everyone's gonna get resurrected. He's like, no, I who speak to you am the resurrection. And what he's saying is like, I am that I am. I'm everything. I'm all that you need. And bro, if I have not learned anything else in business, and it relates to every single facet of my life, the goal is not the goal. The goal is not even just to help people. The goal is what am I doing with Jesus?
Right.
And he's the actual prize here.
Right.
Like, dude, this is all temporary. Like, dude, all of these things we're working on. I'm working on this new product with a few friends called Post Check. Super excited. I don't know if I mentioned it to you.
No,
but it's
I don't think you have.
Social media, because we've all been in the social media world for a long time. There's not currently a tool that makes it really easy for social media managers and teams to collaborate on content and to approve content seamlessly.
Right.
Like a lot of people are using Slack or Google Slides or
your
Google
group
Sheets
texting.
Or texting.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I keep coming up with more things as I walk this out. But bro, if I have not learned anything else, and I feel like for me, the other side of the early onset of imposter syndrome, same thing, bro. Like somebody's calling you, be like, hey, yeah, so how do you guys do this? And then I like go back to my team, like, hey, can we do that? yeah. Oh yeah, we could totally do that.
Yeah.
The other side of that now for me is just God keeps humbling me and show me what I'm incapable of and working with me through the pain of the difficult season I want to get out of. And then I look back, I'm like, dude, thank you. thank you for taking that long.
Right.
Thank you for not letting me go over there and burn too quick.
Right. No, I think the timing thing is huge. Like, I'm so thankful for the many and many and many prayers that God has answered in my life. I'm very thankful for the ones that he was like, let me hold up on those.
Yes.
Because
sir.
like, even, you know, with vision, it's like we came up with this idea, you know, probably 2023 at some point, didn't launch till April of 2024. So we're kind of coming up on a year. But with vision, I'm like, oh, we're going to have 100 clients within the first month. We got to hit all these metrics.
And what's beautiful
I have all
is
these goals.
That passion and goals is actually the same thing that allows you to be a good entrepreneur.
Right. It drives you. It's the thing you have to kind of try to keep in balance. And then now I look back and I'm like, oh, dang, like the printer we had the first month ended up going AWOL, and like kind of like, you know, like now like late night texts my co-founder and sends him like propaganda like songs, you know, like it's like a song that's about like
Your
betrayal.
printer does that?
So we had a printer, like he's not online. We had a printer who we hired probably the first 2 months. We're really starting to take on orders. Like we really need to produce good things at this point. And just kind of was like a different dude, but I'm like, bro, like you print great tees. Like you don't have to be super talkative. Like let's just like be cool people, like be honest, like print the stuff, and like we're gonna have a good situation here. And then kind of just like went AWOL for like 3 or 4 days one time, and then like came back and was like, hey, I was like going through this, and I was like, oh, okay, like I understand, like
Life happens.
that is not okay, but like cool, like let's get back on it, like come back this week and like let's make sure we communicate if that happens again. It happened again, so we eventually just had to like we just let him go, and I hired another guy. And then now he will text Spencer,
Yeah, I love
or
Spence.
my guy.
Yeah.
He'll text Spencer like, I don't know the songs, but it would be like a song about like betrayal.
No.
Like late night pillow talk to Spencer. Like
Late at night?
like a R&B like song about like the one that got away.
No.
And he's like, he'll send it to Spencer at like 10 p.m. and be like, you and Dylan were frauds anyways, you know? And Spencer will send it to me.
How long has he been doing this for?
He's done it like 3 times, but it's just a situation where I'm like, if we would have had that huge account that I wanted to get within the first 2 months, and then my printer goes AWOL, I have to hire a new guy, get him in the process, teach him the systems, like we wouldn't have even been ready for that yet. And there's still things that I'm like, man, I feel like we've been in it long enough. We've proved, you know, the work we can do, where I want this account, or, you know, I want to hit this goal. And I've tried to know, like, because so many times in retrospect, like we've said, I've looked back and been like, oh man, God's timing was way better than mine.
Yeah.
I try to now be in the present when I am not either hitting the goals or I don't have what I want as quick as I want. I'm like, no, Dylan, this is actually a good thing, because like it's gonna come. And then when it does, you'll look back and be like, man, I'm grateful for that season that we didn't have that huge account, because it taught me this grit, hustle, hard work.
Yeah.
It taught me all the things that I'll need for the next season. And I feel like my life has just been a constant, God taking me through seasons of, you know, the desert, if you will, to teach me the things and grow in me the things that I'll need for the 2.0, the 3.0, the next level. And that's what I've tried to approach, you know, any tough time I'm in. Like there's real pain, like life has a way of touching everyone. But at the same time, knowing that like, oh, okay, like this is probably growing in me, something that I'm really going to need. And I think for me, like you're talking about business being the most humbling thing, marriage has been one of the most like introspective.
How long has it been now?
We got married in July, and having the baby in 4 weeks. So we found out, my wife Lane was pregnant. Yeah, I mean, it would have been like end of July. I mean, it was immediate, honeymoon baby. So we didn't plan it at all.
It's
but
so good.
even leading up to marriage, and marriage has been like the most, because when you're single, not in a bad way, but you set up your life that's going to be conducive to you.
Yeah.
Mostly everything in your life, now you're pastoring, whatever, you're others focused, but everything in your life is like going to be the most efficient and most comfortable for me. Everything I do is for me. And then you get married and it's like, oh, that movie's over. Like, go burn it. Now
Go burn it.
It's all about her. And, it's, I'm not the center. Like, my schedule doesn't revolve around me. Like, maybe I was wanting to get home and watch this Lakers-Celtics game, but she had told me 5 times the week before that we were going to the pumpkin patch. And I pull up to the house and I'm ready to watch this game, and I'm finding out, like, we're going to the pumpkin patch. And I'm like, you know what? Like, let's go find some freaking pumpkins. And so it's been, that's a funny, but also like, oh, dang,
It's
like,
real.
I can be naturally selfish. You know what I mean? Like, oh, dang, there's a lot of things that you don't really, that don't necessarily get focused on until you're married or until you have to face certain things. So for me, like, marriage has been, I feel like I grew up a lot when I lived in New York, and then I grew up a lot when I was leading the ministry in Birmingham and kind of starting these businesses. But I feel like marriage has been the biggest, like, oh, okay, like, on one hand, the party's over. It's also just beginning.
Yeah.
But like, it's just a different lifestyle. Everything in my life was conducive to me. Now it's like, oh, okay, what does my wife need? Like, what does she want? Like, what does she need from me today? Like, I don't feel like it's Wednesday night. Like, it's 12 a.m. I'm laying in bed and I realize those trash cans are not up by the street. They are down there. And we probably haven't built up enough trash this week where we could let it ride into week 2. Like, we've all been there. Yeah. And it's like, no, like, I need to go do these things. And I think like you, like, honestly, the best thing for me, I'm kind of finding myself turning into my dad. Like, I'm doing like things, like, I'm into like, just marriage like changes you. I'm into like candles and like coming home at like 6 and I'm like, wonder if we can get in bed before 8, like, just like, I mean, me and my wife, before I came out to LA, like, we watched like Les Mis and like went to sleep at like 10 p.m. And like, that for me though is like the season that I was really wanting when I met her. And it's like the greatest thing ever. But I feel like having a good dad, that was a good example for me, has allowed me to be like, oh, okay, I don't remember everything he ever told me about when you're a husband one day or when you're a father one day. But like, I've watched him for 28 years do the things to lead his family in the right way, to live right, to be a good example for us. So that's been in marriage. It's like, I've had such a great example with my dad. So I'm slowly, I texted my dad, like, I used to be the guy before a flight or before a big trip. Like, I'm packing that morning. I might miss the flight. I might not. And like, I was packed up, ready to go, like bags in the car, like 6 p.m. Sunday night. And I texted my dad. I'm like, number 1, I'm 84. Number 2, like, bags are packed. And he's like, that makes me happy. But marriage has been, And I mean, like, my wife is really like, I mean, I feel like she'd be like my superpower. She's way smarter than me. Like, it's funny too, because she's never really like, she's a writer. So she does poetry, spoken word, like great memory. But like, she hasn't really preached that much. Just, I think she has that gift and anointing, but just hasn't been in that scenario yet. We weren't together when I was doing it, but like, can write messages. And like, she'll even ask me questions. She's like, like, you remember that story in the Bible when like this happened? And I'm like, don't ask me these questions. Like, these are rhetorical. Like, just make your,
just pretend we both know and keep going.
Yeah. Make your point. Like, no, like, I thought you were talking about the other Mary, or like, like, there's so many parts about her that like, she's been the greatest thing that's happened to me. So
dude, marriage is the best.
Has been a crazy.
I'll be 12 years in June, which is crazy.
Does it feel like 12 years?
It does.
What age did you get married?
I was 22.
And what was y'all's story? How'd y'all meet?
We met, so I was going to like a small Christian school, and she was going to like one of the biggest public schools in the area.
High school.
Yeah.
Right.
And her Facebook I had come across through a friend. I was like, dude, this girl is so hot. I remember like that's literally, and my buddy's like, yeah, I know where she plays lacrosse at Poway High, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, no way. And he's like, yeah, she likes me. I'm like, yeah, right, bro. And then literally maybe a few months later, she just shows up at youth. I was probably like a sophomore or junior. She was probably like a freshman, sophomore, because we were 1 grade apart. And I was like, dude, that's that girl, Amy Gilbert. Dude, she's so hot.
Yeah, she doesn't like you.
Yeah. And she came in like straight from practice in like short shorts and like a cute top. I was like, oh my God. And so I thought she was super cute. And then I had made it a point to go say what's up to her. But I think like just in the mayhem after, I couldn't find her. Maybe she left. That was like the first time I ever saw her at youth. And then a few times later, I like ran over to him, like, I know you, blah, 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 blah. And then we started hanging out all the time. We had like a really close group of friends in high school. We never dated in high school. I was a PK, and it wasn't like taboo to date, but that was still kind of like, oh, maybe like we're Christian, so we wait longer, whatever.
Yeah, right.
And by the time we both went into Bible college, and then I became the youth pastor, she had got hired on to do the admin side. And within a few months of that, just constantly hanging out, I was like, I had always been like this on again, off again. Like I really liked her, but then nothing would happen. And then we also went to her prom together, which was so fun. But by the time I was like 21. It was late one night. I was with a friend going to see a movie. I'm like, basically he's like, bro, just go ask her out already. So I went that night and asked her out. Bro, I kid you not. I was just telling this story. I've been telling it so much lately, but it's so fun. Within 30 seconds of asking her out, I'm like, I want to marry you.
Bro.
And it worked, bro. 9 months later, I proposed to her in downtown San Diego with a flash mob of all of our family and friends.
Beautiful.
And then had a friend from the church, this really beautiful man, like middle-aged dude who could play the cello. He played the cello while I proposed. It was sick. That's
iconic.
It was sick, bro.
Did you believe in that, like, when you know thing before
sure.
you met her?
I'm a through and through romantic. Like,
yeah, I'm feeling it.
I love.
Where are we going later?
Going to a candlelight dinner.
Let's go.
But always loved love. Like, love reading, romantic like books, like Nicholas Sparks type
so
stuff.
You knew when I meet the one, I'm gonna know.
Yeah, and crazily enough, a guy who was like my small group leader growing up, his sister was like a big sister to me. She was probably like 10 years, 12 years older than me. One night I was talking to her. I was like, after I had just met Amy, and I was like, I think I could marry her. I said it within like a week of meeting her, and it was the moment I had decided. So I called my older brother when I went to ask her out. And we were both, I was the youth pastor and I was doing Bible college, and I was also doing community college because I wanted to get like marketing or business as well. Yeah, right. And she was also attending the community college and doing Bible college. And I always like to mess with her. I'm like, you only did both of those because I was there. She's
right.
Like, whatever.
Yeah. She don't want to let you hear that.
I call my brother and I'm like, bro, I'm going to ask her out. He's like, dude, don't hurry into it. Just see what happens. But I couldn't help it. I knew that basically my heart had kind of stopped it from happening because it got to a point where I'm the youth pastor. She's the administrative over youth. And if I ask her out and it doesn't go well, this is going to be really bad for the youth ministry.
Risk reward. You're trying to balance that.
I was really scared because I was like,
this set list will not be created next week if this goes south. Like the pizza will not be ordered, but I love her.
Well, I knew I liked her. There was this one moment we were working and we were the last two people in the youth and kids wing that day. And we're like looking at each other. Nothing happened.
Man, it's like we were the last ones by the jungle gym.
Oh my God. Just rolling it. No. But we're like, there was something crazy that happened that day where we're just like staring at each other, and it turned from like us working in youth ministry and always kind of being flirtatious to like, oh my gosh, we're into each other. Like there was always that a little bit, but it was overt that day. Overt so much so that something had to be said. From just the way we're looking at each other, I was like, oh my God, dude, I really like her. What am I going to do? And she's looking back at me like, oh my goodness, okay. And a week later is when I finally asked her out. But
bro, that's hilarious.
I was so nervous because I'm like, we have all the same friends, no matter what. And obviously I'm 21, 22, so I'm a very young youth pastor. And I'm thinking, dude, if this doesn't go well, this is going to be so bad for all these young people. They're going to see like their youth pastor dating someone.
This isn't good for the ministry.
Leave. So I'm like, the only two options in my mind were like, this is going to be a really long-term relationship that turns into marriage, or it's going to at some point we'll break up and it's going to be terrible.
Right.
And so it just took me way too long. So by the time I finally asked her out, I had pushed down all the love emotion so much that I'm like, I like you. Let's just do that. I love you so much. I want to marry you.
How long did it take for you to say you love her?
30 minutes.
You were
I'm not kidding you,
You said
bro.
it or you thought it?
I came to her house. She's sitting right where Danny's at, right? She's sitting on her couch. Been there dozens of times. Her parents adore me. Like, we're homies. We've known each other for like 5 years at this point. And her parents always knew there was a thing. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, Amy. I was always going to say babe. I didn't call her babe then. But it's like, it's so funny. You've been married long enough now. That's what I think of her as. But I was like, Amy, I really like you. And I want to go on a couple dates. We'll see if boyfriend, girlfriend thing comes up. But I don't want to rush this. There's a lot. And this is taking me too long. But let's go on a date tomorrow night. And we're going to go to this really dope place in downtown. And she's like, all right. And we're both super giddy and excited. And her sister was there and her mom.
So you knew she was in. Like, you knew she was.
She for sure liked me.
Right.
She had liked me the whole time. And I liked her, but I was just kind of stuffing it.
Yeah.
We knew.
You were putting the ministry first.
Oh, yeah, man. Super sacrificial.
You were putting the ministry first, brother.
Super sacrificial. But I'm not kidding you. From 30 minutes from me saying that, I'm like, I love you. I want to marry you. Let's get married. I'm going to marry you. And then it worked.
That is phenomenal because
our
story is a little bit similar, but
real?
I didn't believe in the when you know, you know. I thought there's probably a lot of people out there for you. And, you know, like people believe different things. But I had some previous relationships where we had dated for a while. I wasn't the guy that was going to move really quick. When I met Lane, it was probably like 2019. I was leading One Birmingham, same situation. My boy Mayo, who was helping kind of run it, he was really leading it. I was running it. He like last seconds like, yo, like he's like this crazy big visionary. We were meeting at this cool venue downtown. He's like, bro, we're going to do like this opener, this spoken word. Like I know this girl from T-Town. Like she's real smart, whatever. She does spoken words.
She's real smart.
She's more smart. I'm like, yeah, cool. So she comes in and does a spoken word.
No way.
But it's the same, like not the same thing. I was putting the ministry first. But I was like 23 and she was like 19. So she did the spoken word and like literally I don't even remember. I think we said hello like in the green room or like in the back like before service, just like going through like, hey, here's what the night's going to look like. Oh, hey, thanks for coming. You know, maybe said hello, but like there was nothing there. I never thought about her again. I knew she played volleyball at Alabama and I knew she was involved in one and that was it. And then in 2023, randomly, it was at like a Grow or like one of the Highlands events she happened to be at with a family friend, like a lady of mine that I know real well. So we were passing through the hallways and I'm like, oh, hey, Colette, like it's so good to see you. And I look back and I'm like, wait, I think that's Lane. And she's like, oh, do you know Lane? And I'm like, oh yeah, like it's been forever, like whatever. And I remember leaving and I'm like, dude, she's like not 19 at all anymore, like full grown woman. And I was also very much like, I will not be the dude that gets hit with like having anything inappropriate with the student. Yeah. So when we met, like there was not even a thought of like, oh, is that girl cute? Like whatever. She was in college. So like we never thought about each other. Yeah. We see each other again. She's like 23, I'm 27, whatever. And I'm like, man, like, she's actually really pretty. Like, I remember she was very creative, like, did the spoken word stuff. And then just, like, really, like, went about my life for another few months. And I'm not kidding. I never forget it. I was standing by my 25-year-old oven one day in my house. And I randomly, like, thought about her. Maybe I'd seen something on Instagram, like, a few days before. And I was like, man, I wonder what she's up to. I wonder if she lives in Birmingham. So I look her up on Instagram and she's private. And I'm like, oh, I'll follow her for sure. Like that's not anything weird. But I'm thinking the same thing as you. I'm like, if I DM her and she's not with it, she's going to go text the whole one T-Town group text. Like, the old dude that led one Birmingham just slid in my DMs. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, man, I could be flamed here or whatever. So I follow her. She follows me back. And I go to DM her that day. And I get to the point of like, I'm going to send it. And I'm like.
Were you just going to say like, hey.
I was going to keep it very general. Oh, hey, what's up, Lane? Like. Hadn't seen you in forever. Like, don't know if you remember me. Like, what are you up to? Are you living in Birmingham? Like, I was going to shoot for sure.
Yeah.
But I wrote out a text and then I deleted it because I was like, dude, if I send this and then she sends this to like the Highlands people, like, dude, the guy who led the college ministry is in my DMs. I was like, I'm going to look like wild.
Like an idiot.
Yeah. So then I waited and then I kind of low key in my head, it's weird psychological thinking. I was like, I'm going to wait till she posts a story and I'll just reply to the story.
Okay.
Because this was like straight message. So she posted like literally like 2 days later, it was like a story of like her grandfather's construction development firm. And they had like a whole newspaper. He's like done a lot for New Orleans.
Super exciting and romantic thing to follow up
yeah,
on.
So like I literally slid up on like, you know, like the launch of a new like, you know, building at Tulane University. I was like, hey, Lane, like, I don't know if you remember me. We met a few years back. Just seeing like, are you in Birmingham? What are you up to? Hope you're well. And like, I knew like she definitely knew who I was, but I kept it very chill just in case she did do that thing where she went and hit all her friends who would have known me. So even if she did that, it's like, oh, I wasn't like trying to holler at you. Like, I was just curious what location you lived in. You know, I was curious what city you lived in. There's nothing else there.
So how did it move on?
And she was like, yo, like I'm living in Atlanta. And I'm like, I love Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta all the time.
I'm in Atlanta tomorrow.
I'm
Are you free
thinking
for
about
candlelight
moving
dinner?
to Atlanta. I want to start a church in Atlanta. No.
You ever heard of the Ark?
Yeah.
I'm going to go plant a church.
We're going to start the first Ark Atlanta. It's going to be an Ark church in Atlanta. So I was actually doing a lot of work in Atlanta. We started kind of texting. And then like maybe after, I'm an Instagram DM success story, bro. Maybe like, I'm like, bro, free game. Like a day or two later, I'm like,
I'm an Instagram DM success
no, like
story.
literally, I remember like the things I was saying too. I'm like, you know, like as fun as it is messaging on this app, like what's your number? You know, like
You did not.
I slowly moved it to text, and then we started texting. We did like a few like FaceTimes, and then like we're staying up late, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm definitely like, I'm like in, like I'm becoming
You're
like,
swooned.
oh, dude, I'm smitten for sure. And this is like December, like this is like around Christmas, and I hit her like New Year, the day before, the night before New Year's Day, and I'm like, yo, December 30th. I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing tomorrow? And she was like, oh, like, she kind of tried to play it cool. She's like, oh, I might like go to this event or like this party with my friend. I was like, yeah, cool. And then it was a Sunday. I woke up and I was like, hey, I'm coming to Atlanta. Like, we're going to hang out. Like, let me know where to meet you. And we hung out. I picked her up like from her apartment. We went to the Container Store, and immediately like I was like, cause you know, you talk online, but there's always that thing of like, okay, I think it's going to make sense in person, but like we definitely have to vibe in person for sure. And it was like, we didn't skip a beat. And funny enough, like you beat me, but within 24 hours, I was like, hey, I love you. I have texts that I told my dad. I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. Like one of those stories. So I told her like the next day, I was like, yo, I love you. Like, I don't know if you've been communicating with any other guys, like, X that out now. And like we're gonna date. Like I'm giving her like a business plan. You know, I'm like,
she's like, wait, I also have to agree on these.
So we're gonna launch this date. Our rollout's gonna be this. I'll go on socials.
Parties.
Yeah, and we started dating January 1st, and I proposed March 15th.
Wow.
And it was immediately like I never believed in the when you know you know. And when I met her, it was more of not even like I know. It was like, if I don't marry this girl, it will be the biggest L of my life. Like, I will be thinking about it forever. I had never really been like just totally like obsessed, like with every part about her. So it was like crazy story like that. I didn't believe it. And then I met her and I was like, oh, I just needed to meet the one.
I think that's kind of how it's supposed to be. And obviously there's people who are single for long periods of time. And I'm sure you're old enough now as I am, like having friends and family get married and divorce. But I do think there's a difference in meeting the right person. And I'm so grateful. Like, dude, my wife is my best friend. We have so much fun together.
Which is so cliche, like marry your best friend, but we'll talk about it. I'm like, even like when she'll be mad at me or something, I'm like, you're like, we're closest homies. Like, chill. Like, don't even imagine me as your husband. Like, imagine like we're like best friends. Like, what would you say bad about me right now? Like, you're playing these weird mind games.
It absolutely murdered me, and I sent it to my wife. It's a husband and wife on an elevator, and it's like POV. You're in a huge argument with your spouse, except they're also your best friend, and the guy's like smiling and frowning over and over. It's so good, dude. But that's true.
It's so true because I think I would get like, I think if not like a month, 2 months in, like those little. Because like the little things that would have driven me crazy about like other people, whatever, like I don't care about. Like, she's my best friend. I feel like she knows me better than anyone. And it's true. Like, I think if you don't, you're going to be in a bad situation because you spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And if you don't like enjoy hanging out with that person on just like a regular everyday level, like, that's one thing I didn't realize. Like, oh my God, we're really together all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I go to work, whatever, but like you lose all autonomy.
Bro, I love it because you're learning this now. Just wait till you have kids. And I'm not trying to
you're
be
12
one of those
years
guys,
in.
But I don't mean you always will learn what you're learning. It's like, I don't know if you ever conquer that in marriage. And not that I've arrived, but I thankfully have a very healthy, happy marriage 12 years in. But what's crazy is, because I'll still learn that. Like, you think things are going great and you're like, oh, all of a sudden there's that friction. It's the same thing. It's just everyone's relationship, right?
Right.
But it's crazy what kids will do on top of it. I'm excited for you, though. It's going to be beautiful. But before we finish up this part, I want to hear a little bit more about Tour Caddy, because I'm genuinely intrigued and we've never actually talked about it. Did you come up with that with a homie, or how did that work? Because the basic idea for people listening is, more than anything else, you put together what is a really beautiful piece of equipment, kind of like Top Golf, where you can swipe your club, but instead of it jumping out of this machine at Top Golf, it's a really beautiful golf bag.
Yeah.
But did you just come up with that out of the blue? Do you have like guys working that with you? How did that happen?
No, that was well said. I mean, technically, like in the golf world, the shape of the bag we created is called a din caddy. So it's basically a mini golf bag that you can store balls in, whether you put it on the range or in your simulator. And then like you just have to pour them out on the ground. Like, it's a storage container. I had started Vision. I had Baggy. I had kind of been doing business for a little bit. My good friend Chase had started a company. He was in the process of exiting it and selling it to a Silicon-based company. And we were both close friends, talking all the time about business. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what's your struggles? Like, what are you learning? Like, what's the biggest thing you hate, you love? And I just hit him one day and I was like, yo, dude, we need to start something together. And I was just kind of like, it's either going to be like in the church world or the golf world. Because like, those are the two areas like I have connections and I think I have some knowledge in. And we were like, okay, like, yeah, like let's kind of plot on this. Let's sit on this for a little bit. So we were trying to think through, and literally like started as like, are we going to create like, you know, a divot repair tool with a Bluetooth speaker, you know, like something like so small minded.
But how did you get to the idea?
And then we really started thinking about it. And, I had a simulator, like he was going out to the range every day, and we both like came up with this idea of like, dude, I don't even know if this is a stupid idea, but like, what if we created like an automatic golf ball dispenser? We didn't even know actually that we would do it in the shape of a din caddy, but we're like, when you're at the range, the annoying part is you have to like scoop every ball.
Yeah.
Like you're having to like, whether it's the old green bucket and you tip it over or the wooden box, like there was this ancient technology where we weren't really like fixing, I wouldn't say we were fixing an already known problem. We were basically telling people there is a problem and now we have the solution. Right. So like you didn't know how annoying it was using these green baskets until we showed you this product and you're like, oh yeah, that is an issue. So we kind of came up with this idea, but it was still like big theory. Like it was almost kind of this thing we were like kind of just talking about. And then we were like, hey, let's get like a prototype made. Like didn't even know what the tooling, the mechanism would look like. We, go overseas, get a prototype made, still have the video. It's like this bare bones, like plastic, like, like you put the club in front of it, like beep, beep, and like a ball comes rolling out at like 100 miles an hour. We're like, let's fix that. And kind of like sat on that for like a month or two because he was in the middle of exiting his company. I had just like started Vision. I was rolling out of like things at Highlands, just both of us in a busy season. And I remember he texted me one day and he was like, hey, like, I'm going to do this. Like, are you in? And I remember like I was sitting on my couch and I was like, nothing logically should say that I should do this right now. Like nothing in me should be like, okay, you definitely don't have the time to do this. You're starting other businesses you need to focus on. But I had this moment of like, if this dude becomes crazy successful with this and sells this one day. And I was like sitting on my couch, like, I didn't have time. Like, I'm too busy. So I was like, yeah, like say less. I'm in. Let's do it. So this was in like August. We start working on our prototype. He's an engineer. So he's like head of product, all that. We get like, I do the design. I was like, let's do the shape of a din caddy because it's already like, there's already market validation there. People like the shape of that. It's a mini golf bag. It makes sense in the golf industry. Yeah. They were also used on golf ranges. They were just storage containers. Mm-hmm. So we were like, hey, let's launch this thing at the PGA show. We were also like, hey, we need to raise capital. So this probably happened in the span of like 2.5 months from, hey, we're going to do this to like, now we have a spot at the PGA show in the inventor spotlight. And this thing has to like work really well. Like our prototypes are coming in within weeks of the PGA show starting. Like totally like chaos behind closed doors.
Right.
But like the PGA show would be like the biggest expo for anything golf, gadget, equipment, like Titleist. All these brands are there showcasing their new, whatever they're coming out with that year.
How did you get a seat?
It was like a last second. They had a few spots in the inventor spotlight, which was, technically this would be like an invention. So we got a spot. We raised some capital from like a businessman that we knew and built out, I built out the design for the booth like we would like a church conference. Yeah. Like I'm like ordering like backdrop and all this. And you kind of go in like, it's like like we've talked about, we both have big vision. Like we want to do things and we can figure out the plan to make those things happen. I thought it was a good idea. I was like, this is a good idea. I think it'll do okay. Right. Like, but you're also going to a spot like this, like, okay, we need some market validation. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that other people who actually know about golf and are in this industry and are the buyers for a product like ours think this is a good idea. Yeah. And went down there. It was January 22nd, I think was the first day of the PGA show. And we launched it and like had a whole bunch of sales, like got on a whole bunch of videos of like top products of the show and the inventor spotlight, crazy, like bro. Went really well. And then even like within the first month, like we've hit like projections that we forecasted way out. So it's been like this really quick,
and it's still just YouTube.
Crazy ride. We have one other co-founder.
That's awesome.
Who's kind of more marketing, go-to-market, ads, all of that. I would kind of be design, branding. Also, like came up with the idea with Chase, and then Chase is kind of like head of product, tooling, all of that. So us together, we've been able to do pretty well so far. But it was such an idea that like, it's been very surprising to me. Like, we sold a bag in every state, and we've been around for like 30 days. And I don't say that in any way like, man, we're Titleist now, but it's like you said, it's like, this was one of those things that like, I actually probably thought like, this may not do that well. Mm-hmm. And it's now the thing that I'm like, oh, this may do well than a lot of my other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the genesis, like origin story of it.
Bro, it's so beautiful.
And then we're still trying to figure it out and, you know, talking to people and trying to, you know, build the brand.
I love it, man. Well, I'm excited about everything you're building and really honestly inspired by all the things you're able to handle. Excited for you to have a baby. And as we close, we've been doing this now. If you don't mind looking at the camera, I think it'd be dope, especially because obviously we're followers of Jesus, we're Christians. Talking to like a younger version of you or me, like a young Christian entrepreneur, like maybe they have an idea, maybe they don't, but like, dude, I feel like I'm cut for marketing or business or something, because I would be remiss if I didn't say even what you're doing inspires me as someone who's also going out and building. But I think it'd be cool if anybody's watching or listening could draw some inspiration and wisdom from it. What would you say to a young entrepreneur that might be watching?
Yeah, for sure. If I was talking to my younger self or anyone out there, I would say just don't give up and don't let fear keep you from trying the things that God's called you to try. I think everybody has good ideas, but a lot of people get held back by fear, doubt, fear of rejection, embarrassment. So maybe that idea you have, maybe that business you want to start, maybe that ministry you want to be a part of, go for it. And if it doesn't work the first time, then it wasn't supposed to work the first time. And everything is right in God's timing. And I would just be true to who you are. You know, I think creativity is best not forced, more kind of instinctual. So go create, do what you love, and don't let fear keep you from doing the thing that God's called you to do.
Beautiful. And at the risk of messing up the Instagram handles of all the businesses you're working on, the best way to check out some of the businesses and things we talked about today would be going to your Instagram. And where else?
Yeah, like I've got the few companies I'm involved in on my personal Instagram. Yeah. Two clothing brands would be Baggy Pants Golf, Circle Author.
We didn't even get, next time we'll talk about Circle
and then Tour Caddy and Vision. So yeah, those are the four things.
Love you, dog. Thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. It was a blast. Much love.
Dude, it was so fun.
Thank you so much, dude. That was fun. That's crazy. You I didn't know you and your girl's story.